Okay, good evening, friends. I am Dhiren, and along with me, Dr. Hitesh is there. Hitesh is head of the pediatric orthopedic unit at Manipal, and most of the cases are of Hitesh. I am just there for asking questions. So the question is like why we decided to conduct this session, because most of the exam till now is a conventional exam, and in that the sequence which the long case is in the form of the first of all you are given some time, and then in that you take a history, you carry out a clinical examination. After that you go to the examiner, and examiner will ask you about the history and your examination finding. Most of the time, if you are not good, your exam will be over in this point only. If you are really good at history taking and clinical examination, in that case you will be able to reach to a next point, that is investigation. Usually, like after that the question is about the diagnosis, and rarely you reach to the management part. And when I was a postgraduate, it was said that if you reach to a management in the long case, then definitely it's a guarantee that you are going to pass in the exam. So this time, because of the COVID crisis, Hitesh, next slide please. The examination is going to change. There are a lot of places where already exams are over, and from that we realize that this time the examination is more of a virtual, and there are no long cases or short cases, and examiners give you the information on PowerPoint, and from that you have to make a diagnosis and then go to the management. So the first three steps, that's a history, clinical examination, and investigations, they are given to you, and usually very few minutes are spent in that. And now most of the time will be spent in the diagnosis, differential diagnosis, and on the management. So we thought that let's do this as a trial, and probably that will give you more idea and more confidence when you go for a real examination. Next please. So now we are going to have a case discussion. So we will give you a short information, and after that we will ask you question. So whenever we ask a question, please unmute yourself and share your opinion. Next slide please. So the first case is about a boy who is 8-year-old. He presented to OPD with a pain over the left knee and the limb for last 3 months. On examination of the knee joint, the range of motion is normal. There is no effusion, no synovitis, no redness, no sign of inflammation. There is no tenderness anywhere in the joint. Next, please. So now the question is like, this is a boy, this is a clinical examination and a short history. So what will you do next? You can unmute yourself and share your views with us.
X-ray of the knee, sir.
Sir, X-ray of the knee joint, very good.
AP,
very good.
anteroposterior and lateral views.
X-ray of the hip joint.
X-ray of the hip joint.
Sir, hip examination.
Hip examination. Okay, why hip examination?
Blood investigation. Blood
because sir, Perthes often presents as pain in the knee, sir.
Okay, so now we have 3 options. The first is someone says that I will go for an X-ray of knee, AP and lateral view. Someone says that I will go for the blood investigation. And then there is another radical view is that I will go for the hip examination. So of the 3 options, which one you would suggest? Yeah. Yes, so who said about the blood investigations, and what is your logic behind that? Why you want to go for a blood investigation?
Along with the X-ray, we will take the blood investigations.
Okay, like there is someone, Pushpakant Chauhan, he is like, I will go for the hip examination and the hip X-ray. Right, okay. So that's the point behind this case, or like this information. Any child presenting to you with the knee joint, unless and until you examine the hip joint, your examination is not over. So that's the first message we would like to give you, that any child presenting to you with a knee pain, please don't focus your attention only on the knee joint. always examine the hip joint. So yes, Dr. Chauhan, what he said is absolutely right. We need to examine the hip. So next point, please. Hitesh, next slide, please.
Yes. Another point, anytime any child present with the knee pain, not on any child also, anybody, because of it is referred pain from the hip, always examine the hip joint. Don't always see the knee joint. The rule in orthopedic, one joint above and one joint below has to be followed, particularly for the knee joint. Always check the hip joint.
Okay, now just a side question. Why hip pathology present as knee pain?
Sir, due to
because of
the
obturator nerve,
obturator nerve. Yes.
Obturator and femoral nerves both
transmit knee
supply
joint to
the knee joint and the hip joint are both supplied by the obturator nerves.
Okay, there is an anterior division of the obturator nerve has a common supply. Yes, so basically it's a referred pain. The pathology is in the hip joint and that's a referred pain. And the reason is like it's a obturator nerve. Right, so now we come to the case again. As you said, or like the message we gave, it's important to examine the hip joint. On examination of the hip, there is a restriction of abduction and internal rotation. And whenever we try to carry out abduction and internal rotation, there is a muscle spasm and that restricts the further movement. We are not going to go in the complete history or the examination findings. These are the important points. Next slide, please. So now with this information, what are the possibility? The child presented with the pain in the knee joint, 8-year-old child, and SCFE. So there is a one possibility, SCFE. Very good. At this stage, we don't want a clear-cut diagnosis. We want just a possibility. What are the differential diagnoses? Coxa-Vara, right? Perthes, very good. Right. Anything else? Coxa-Vara. Yeah, three things already. Perthes, Coxa-Vara, SCFE.
Initial, sir, initial stages of synovitis due to infections like tuberculosis, sir.
Exactly. So any infective pathology can also present with this. And similarly, very rarely at 8 years, but inflammatory condition can also be there. That's a possibility. It may be a remote possibility, but that's a possibility. So Perthes, slip capital femoral epiphysis, Coxa-Vara, then the infection and inflammation, not transient synovitis of the hip joint. Please remember that for a case which is having a pain for 3 months, transient synovitis of the hip is not a differential diagnosis. Transient synovitis of the hip is a diagnosis only when it's a short duration history at the most. Transient, not long standing. I didn't understand that comment. What was that? Transient but not, just a minute, the last comment.
So that was a reply for the previous comment, I think.
Okay, so basically, yes, the transient synovitis, don't put it as a differential diagnosis in this case when there is a history of 3 months. Right, okay, next slide, please. Okay, so what will you do now? The x-rays were done and x-ray of the hip, this is AP view. We will keep it for 15 to 30 seconds and then we will show you the frog lateral view.
Dhiren sir, 1 minute.
Yeah, please.
A request to all the participants, whenever you give answer, your answer has been ended, then you mute yourself voluntarily. So no in between noises will be there. Yes, sir, you can proceed, sir.
Yes, Hitesh, next view, the frog leg lateral view. Okay, anyone would like to describe the x-ray and then we go to the diagnosis part, but before that anyone would like to describe, can we go back to the AP view, Hitesh?
Yeah.
There is sclerosis of the this is an anteroposterior view of hips, pelvis with both hips. There is sclerosis of the right hip is present with a slight extrusion of the hip is present on the right side, and the medial joint space is increased. and there is a cystic cavity which can be seen in the lateral metaphyseal regions.
Yes.
In the frog-leg lateral view also.
So
Yes,
there is a
then,
metaphyseal widening also.
Metaphyseal widening is also present.
right, and then
Sclerosis.
someone also had said the decreased height of the epiphysis. Good,
Epiphysis.
short and thick neck. Yes, that's another good observation. Very good observation. Short and thick neck. Yes. Right,
And horizontal physis.
horizontal physis. It's already both sides. Like if you compare the direction of the physis is horizontal only on both the sides.
And so there is metaphyseal cyst also, sir.
Yes,
On
there is
the
a
lateral.
metaphyseal cyst. Okay, can we have a lateral view now from lateral view? Yes, what do you see on that?
The same as sclerosis.
I compartment.
Metaphyseal cyst.
Irregular is the physis, sir.
Sir, there is a V-shaped translucency in the lateral part of the
Gag sign is.
Right. Okay.
and irregularity in the medial side as well. And even the joint space is also increased. The distance from the tear duct to the capital epiphysis is widened compared to the opposite side, sir.
Right. So what you said is like the increased joint space which was seen on the AP view, the same is also correlated over here. Right.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So with that, I think a lot of you have said about the differential or the possibilities. So can we have a next slide, please? What is the diagnosis?
Yeah, one more thing. Anybody want to see the soft tissue? Actually, you can see that. Can you see the cursor in that? The normal side, the soft tissue shadow is there. Whenever the soft tissue is more, that gives idea about the hip effusion. Okay, that is very well visible. The epiphysis is sclerotic. The density is more than the opposite side. The height is reduced. The metaphysis cyst is there. There is a widening. If you see the joint space, you are absolutely correct. But again, I want to say that this is also the hip effusion. So that will be giving idea, the clue, the hip range of motion would not be normal. Okay, that will be indirectly evidence of the hip effusion.
Yes, can we have the next slide? Yeah. So now straightway you have all the three information: clinical examination, medial physial, height reduced. Okay, yeah, right. So now forget about the X-ray. Now straightway the question is, what is the diagnosis?
It's a case of Perthes disease.
It's a case of Perthes disease. Okay, any other differential diagnosis now with the X-ray, or you are sure it's Perthes?
Sure, it's Perthes.
Sure it's Perthes. Okay.
Anybody else you want to have some differential diagnosis? Is always when there is an AVN of the hip is always said Perthes disease. AVN of capital femoral epiphysis. Can it happen in any other place? Patient is coming from tribal area. Patient is coming from that.
Sickle cell anemia, sir.
Sickle cell.
Yes, so it is also common. Anything is AVN, it is not Perthes. Idiopathic avascular necrosis of capital femoral epiphysis is Perthes disease. So you have to keep, if somebody shows the X-ray of the hip, the head of the femoral or the capital femoral epiphysis is sclerosed, the height of the epiphysis is reduced, you can think about that avascular necrosis, whatever causes, maybe the infection, trauma, but depends on that where the child is coming from, then you can think about the Perthes disease. Okay, if it is coming from the south to west zone, possibility of Perthes is first. But why I'm telling you are going and through the all over the India, in the northern part of the India, tuberculosis is also very common. The infection is also very common. When there is a tribal area, sickle cell anemia is also very common. So you have to investigate this child to find out whether it is a Perthes or not. If everything, including HB electrophoresis, the ESR, turn out to be normal, this is a typical case of Perthes disease.
Last time Hitesh asked you a question or explained you like how to differentiate or what is the difference between the AV and avascular necrosis and the Perthes. So what is that? Can anyone repeat that answer that what is the difference between AV and Perthes?
Yes,
I think that
anybody?
was last week only.
Yes, yes, sir. Yes, yes. Take part in interaction. Your exam is coming.
We said no. We started 4 or 5 times. We repeated the avian is what kind of avian is common in Perthes? It's a self-limiting. It's a idiopathic. It is non-inflammatory. It is non-infective. And
It's idiopathic and self-limiting.
yes, that is very important. So before jumping that, always keep this in mind. If you see this X-ray, always you think that this is possibilities of Perthes. We are not telling it is Perthes is wrong. The answer is absolutely right, but you need to rule out the other causes. It is not the non-self-limiting causes, then prognosis would be different. Okay, if the ESR, CRP, everything turns out to be normal, complete blood count, ESR, HP electrophoresis, then it to be only and only Perthes disease.
Okay, Hitesh, just I would like to ask you if the same question is asked to them in exam with this X-ray, that what is the differential diagnosis? So one is AVN, the second is Perthes. So yes, sickle cell. So when they will answer this question, the next question will be by examiner. That how will you differentiate?
How would you differentiate? Yes, that is if it is a Perthes disease, will be having the sclerosis all over and it will be unilateral. While all other pathology like the generalized, even the skeletal dysplasia or SED or MED or anything is there, it's a bilateral and it will be atypical feature. It's not like a Perthes. If suppose some senior examiner asks only in radiological, well, it will be involving entire head and anterolateral aspect of the head. It is common in Perthes, while it is Perthes-like disorder in bilateral Perthes, particularly in differential diagnosis, sickle cell anemia, multiple epiphyseal dysplasia, spondyloepiphyseal dysplasia, thyroids, Mayer's dysplasia, where it is the atypical X-ray features will be there. It is not like this X-ray features. And you need to ask about the blood investigation. Basically, what is required for it's a blood investigation, and where the tuberculosis is very well prevalent, we need to do about the ESR, Montauk test, and HP electrophoresis.
Okay, and then someone said that in Perthes it will be a painless limb, and in avascular necrosis it will be a painful limb.
But Perthes is also painful. Depends on that when they present. Even that it's spasm also, it will be painful. So it is not always that the painless limb is always Perthes, but traditionally it has been taught to the most of the people that it is a painless limb is Perthes. But it's not always painless. It may be painful because of the synovitis, because of the effusion. Okay.
Yes, can we go to the next slide?
Yes.
Yes, so now Hitesh will be taking over from here.
Yeah, if you see the child is 8 years and that was the X-ray. Now the important aspect, how would you manage the child? These are the various different options, because last time it was asked to me that what are the non-operative intervention and what are the operative intervention. So we have mentioned whether the non-weight bearing crutch walking or a walker walking, abduction splint or a plaster, the traction, a varus derotation osteotomy or acetabular osteotomy. What should we do?
We will go for a traction initially to rule out any contractures, to take care of the contractures
To
initially.
decrease the spasm, sir, we'll give an initial traction. Once the traction is achieved, since it is there is an extrusion is present, we'll try to contain it with the varus derotation osteotomy. Since it is in stage 1B.
Oh, very good. Yes. Anybody else want to have differ from this point of view? I will go ahead. One point I would like to say, you rightly mentioned is traction. If you read the most of the textbook from the Western world, traction is not an option in the Western book. Reason is there that insurance is very costly, the hospitalization is very costly, but whenever range of motion is restricted, it is treated in India, across the India, by the simple traction. Whether it's unilateral or bilateral, would you give the traction on
Somebody
one
answered that. Somebody
bilateral?
answered that bilateral traction. By
Yes,
chat,
very
someone answered that.
good.
But the
Very-
first question is why traction?
Sir, for in Parthis to do a VDRO, first all the hip movements should be restored, and spasm should be, there are three things to restore the hip movements, to relieve the spasm, and to decrease any pain if the patient is having. So this, in this three-way traction works, and after the hip movements are restored, then we go for the surgery.
Okay, that's not the correct answer. Like, see, it's not necessary to give traction in all the patients. The traction is indicated, and why it is indicated, we are going to see that in a minute. So please don't answer in every patient, yes, we have to go for a traction. The traction is indicated for a reason, because in this patient there was an abduction and internal rotation was restricted. So you will see why we need to go for a traction. Yeah, Hitesh, can you now take over?
Yes, yes. So what we say that in case of the Perthes disease, it's not every single child will require the varus derotation osteotomy. You started having the varus derotation osteotomy or the acetabular osteotomy. Basically, both are the surgical containment method. Okay, so what we generally take into consideration are the 5 important factors for planning about the treatment of the Perthes disease: the age of the onset of the disease, the extent of the involvement, the stage of the disease, the extrusion of the femoral head, and the range of motion. So whenever the age of the child is more than 7 years, this is a candidate for the containment. When the age is less than 7, if there is extrusion happens, then it is a candidate for the containment. Less than 7, no extrusion, the child will require conservative treatment, non-containment. Again, the extent of involvement, more severe involvement, more than 50%, it will require containment. Less than 50% doesn't require containment. Stage, early the stage of disease, we are going to get the good outcome. The later stage of disease, the result of the surgery would not be good, so it doesn't require the containment. The extrusion is the most important factor. Among all 5 factors, only one factor is surgeon dependent, is extrusion. No other factor is surgeon dependent, neither age, neither extent, neither stage. For some extent, range of motion is correct, but other 3 factors is not surgeon dependent. So the extrusion of the stage of extrusion of the femoral head is very important, and the range of motion. No surgery is indicated when there is range of motion is restricted. Okay, so I will go on that.
Yeah, that just go back. I would like to clarify something on the point 3. So in point 3, the stage of the disease for stage 1A, 1B, 2A, and question mark 2B, we contain it. All other advanced stage of the disease we don't contain. The reason is because even if you operate, the results of surgery are not good, and that is the reason we don't contain. It's not the condition is milder, but even after surgery you are not going to get good result. That's why we say that don't contain if it's an advanced stage, right? So that is the reason. If you look at the second point, less than 50, in that case there is no need for surgery, because usually they have a better prognosis. That's why we say that don't contain. So in the second and third point, they are different. In second, surgery is not required because it's a milder condition, while in the third point, because it's an advanced condition, surgery is not going to work. That's why we say that don't operate. Yes. Next slide.
Similarly, the extrusion, when the extrusion is absent in a younger age, it would be associated with a good outcome. So that is the reason if extrusion is absent, that means it is also a good prognostic sign. So depends on the prognosis, we think about whether it is required containment or not. Okay.
Okay, and just add the another point, the last point, the restricted movement.
Yeah.
If you operate with a restricted movement, you are not going to get a good result, and that's why we say that don't contain if the movements are restricted. Now let's see one by one where we are in our case. Yeah, please.
Yeah, the age of the onset in this particular child was 8 years, so it was more than 7 years. See the extent of involvement. Anybody can comment on the extent of involvement here. Again, this is what stages of disease you rightly pointed out. It is 1B, and 1B, only the extent of involvement can be detected by the Salter and Thompson sign. That is a Salter sign. But here, even in a frog lateral, it is not there. So if we want to say about extent of involvement, you need to get the perfusion MRI. But if it is not possible, you should not comment on the extent of involvement in an early stage. So this is again, it is in a stage of the 1B, where subchondral fracture is not visible in frog lateral. You can't think about that, but this is a stage of disease is 1B, because the height of the epiphysis is reduced and no subchondral fracture is. So it is a candidate for the containment surgery. In the stage of disease, rightly mentioned, you can see the distance between two horizontal lines, it is reduced. Extrusion is measured by the 2 points. One is the Reimers migration index, where if you see the Reimers migration index on the affected side, it will be the head is the almost 10% is out of the compared to the opposite side on the right side. And the important aspect, rather than taking an extrusion, if you see the distance between the two vertical lines, that is called as a medial joint space, is almost than the opposite side. So this is started having extrusion. If you don't treat that, it is going to progress more and it will go for the femoral head deformation. Now the range of motion is restricted. So would you go for the directly video? Can you do the
Traction.
Yes. What will happen if you do the video today? Today means this when you see about the range of motion is restricted. What will happen? Why we think about not doing about the varus derotation osteotomy? Let us say first varus, not about acetabulum. Will not confuse. Because last time somebody asked how the varus derotation osteotomy works. So how does the varus derotation osteotomy works? We do the varusization, means proximal fragment would be abducted. We do about external rotation of distal fragment. So the proximal fragment would be internal rotated. But if there is range of motion is not there, and if you do the adduction or the varus of distal fragment, the proximal fragment will not go in abduction, and again the extrusion will increase. So rather than helping, you are harming the patient. Similarly, the patient will walk like a Charlie Chaplin, external rotated gait, without having with the containment. So the purpose of the video will not be solved. Okay, this is a very important point. In the Western world, it has been treated like a broomstick cast, where the traction is not a good option. So always think about range of motion, because most of the cases in the clinical scenario would be restricted range of motion. You can apply the skin traction, and that is a bilateral skin traction. So here it comes on this point, the range of motion is restricted, and that is what you suggested, the 5 days of traction.
Let's go back the table. Let's go back to the table. So now let me explain you the table. If you look at like the points in favor of surgery, that's a containment. Age is more than 7. So yes, that is in favor of surgery. The extent of involvement, yes, we can't predict at this stage, but if you have a perfusion MRI and that says that it's more than 50, that suggests surgery. It's a 1B. So again, that favors surgery. The patient has come in time. Now the fourth point, why I have not shown, we have not shown any color. Why? We are not going to look at the exclusion at
Age
this
less
point.
than 7 years. Age less than 7 years.
Yes, if it's less than 7 only, then you have to look at the exclusion. For those between 7 to 12, you don't have to consider for the exclusion. You just have to consider that point as one of the indications for surgery. So this point is not applicable in our country. So these 3 points are in favor of surgery. The fifth point, that's a restricted movement, is not suggesting that we should go for. It's a warning sign, it's a red flag that you can't proceed for the surgery. So because 3 factors are suggesting surgery, but there is a red flag. So now what is the next line of treatment to take out that red flag? Next, please. Yes, so now the question is, what should we do? We want to operate a surgery, but there is a one contraindication. That's a restricted movement.
We'll give bilateral skin traction and increase the range of movement.
Okay. Bilateral skin traction and?
Increase the range of movement.
Right. So how many days we should give traction?
1 week, sir.
1 week.
Okay. After that, what should we do? Should we get an X-ray or should we do something else?
Assess the range of movements again, sir.
Okay, right. Yes. So basically we give a traction. What is the aim of traction? Why we give traction? What we want to get from the traction?
Relieve the spasms. Relieve the spasm of the surrounding muscles around the hip.
Yes, we want to give a rest to the joint, and by that we expect that when we give a rest, the joint effusion, which already we saw on the X-ray, that will be reduced to some extent, and that will reduce the spasm and range of motion will improve. So we gave a traction, and after that, let's see what happened. Yeah, please, next slide, Hitesh. Yeah. So yes, after 5 days of traction, the abduction and the internal rotation, which were restricted before, they improved. So now what? So one contraindication, the fifth factor, which was contraindication, now it has also become a green. So we have all the factors suggestive of surgical treatment, containment. Should we go for a surgery or should we wait?
We can go for surgery, sir.
Okay, we can go for surgery. Okay, right. Any other option? If patient has no improvement, then?
If the range of motion is not getting better, what will you do? Then by asking if range of motion is not it's not that always 80 to 90% cases the range of motion will be better, but 10 to 20% range of motion will not get it better, will be persistently stiff. The hip joint will not get it better. What should we do?
Again go for a traction.
Another week if it is not getting better. If it is not getting better, yes, correct. It is some scenario. It is not getting better. So what
adductor spasm release.
Oh, adductor spasm release. Okay, it is also described method in the literature. Also, yes, it is adduct. But what is different between spasm and contracture? What is the difference between spasm and contracture?
So spasm is velocity dependent, sir.
Not spasticity.
That's a spasticity, not spasm.
So spasm is temporary, contracture is a permanent.
Yeah, so the
spasm improves. And spasm improves over time, sir, whereas contracture remains.
Doesn't. So if you take under anesthesia, would you get the abduction? If you take the child under anesthesia, would you get the abduction?
Yes, sir. In spasm, you will get, sir.
Contracture will not come.
Yeah, so then why to release? Actually, very commonly, then what will you do? You have to maintain that position. What will you do?
Abduction base.
Spine cast.
Abduction, Petri cast.
Broomstick cast we can give, sir, as well.
Yeah, so that's how it is.
Broomstick cast.
Yes, if the spasm doesn't get it better after the 7 days to 8 days, you can take the child under anesthesia. You can keep in the broomstick cast, and particularly, what is the position of broomstick cast? Only abduction in extension of the hip.
Abduction and internal rotation of the hips. With
If you incorporate the hip joint, you can maintain in internal rotation. But if you don't incorporate the hip joint, how the internal rotation will be maintained?
foot.
Your foot also you maintain, but then the joint motion happens at which joint? Hip joint, no? So how will you have it? And rotation is always the revealed. It has not been concealed by anything, not proximal or distal. Okay. The important aspect of the broomstick cast, always keep the knee joint also in 30 degree of flexion. So hip is always flex. So hip is flex and abducted, and ask the child to sit on the chair or the side of the cot. So when the patient is getting in flex, it will automatically go in a flexion, abduction, and internal rotation. So these are the very important point for the broomstick cast. It should not be given in full extended hip, because the purpose of your keeping broomstick would not be served. So if you want to give the broomstick cast, keep in the flexion, abduction, and 30 degree of flexion. The hip will also go in a 30 degree of flexion. Okay. Why do you want the operation?
Now, Hitesh, there was a question, there was a query. Is there a role of Botox in this patient?
Yeah, but it is a temporary. When you take under the anesthesia, why do you want to compromise? Because adductor is one of the stabilizers. So it is not been described for the Perthes disease. It is described for the CP.
Yeah, so basically the answer to that question is like Botox is not indicated in this patient. The reason is because Botox is for spasticity and here it's a spasm. Spasm and spasticity both are different. Right, so there was a question by 1 plus phone number or like the one from that. So answer to that is Botox is not indicated in this condition. Yes, so now coming to the question, which operation and why?
And to contain the hips, sir, varus derotation we will be doing, sir.
Okay, so varus derotation osteotomy for the containment, right? Is there any other option for that containment?
Salter's osteotomy.
Salter's osteotomy, right? Okay. So what is the difference between varus derotation osteotomy and the Salter osteotomy?
Varus derotation is simpler osteotomy, sir, simpler surgery, and it can be done on the femoral aspect, whereas Salters is done in the acetabular aspect, sir.
Right. So now hip joint is made up of femur and the self is not Salter. The correct answer is Salter. So basically femur is hip joint is made by head of the femur and acetabulum. So where is a avascular necrosis or where is the disease? In which part?
Head of the femur.
No, head of the femur, but which part?
Epiphyseal part.
Yeah, it's a anterolateral or supralateral, right? And for that, what we try to achieve with containment, why we want to contain?
For normal development of the femur head, sir, and acetabulum.
Yeah, but how it helps? How does it help?
Sir, there is a theory of bioplasticity which says that if we keep the hip inside the acetabulum, eventually it will grow into a normal head.
Right. So basically we want to bring that affected area into the weight bearing area so that it's covered well. And because of that, during the rest of when the recovery is taking place, there is enough distribution of the load bearing, and that helps in better recovery of the condition. So now we have two options for the containment. Containment is a procedure. We can do it on the femoral side, we can do it on the acetabular side. right? So there are two options available. And the question, next slide, please. Yeah, so in this patient, it was a varus derotation osteotomy was suggested. So now examiner will ask you why to go on a femoral side. So how will you answer that?
It is a simple surgery, sir. And second, it increases the vascularity in the hip region because of the fracture osteotomy created, sir.
Yes, so whenever they ask you, be confident and say that because it's a easier operation and you are more comfortable doing that. So that's why you are going for a varus derotation osteotomy. Right? There is another option, acetabular osteotomy is there, but this is a simpler option.
Yeah, simpler
Yes.
option when there is a femur is involved, the which side is involved, it should be addressed on that side. There are evidence that it can bypass the stage of fragmentation. There are evidence that to shorten the duration of disease. There are advantage and disadvantage. The examiner will ask many times why to take the femoral side, why to take acetabular side. There are disadvantage of femur side is that it can lead to the shortening of the limb. It can be addressed by open wedge osteotomy. And second is that permanent lurch that he is going to explain because it has been there. So what are the surgery with varus derotation osteotomy? Only varus derotation osteotomy, or you will do something else?
Trochanteric epiphysiodesis in this area.
Trochanteric epiphysiodesis. So there is a prophylactic trochanteric epiphysiodesis. Why need
Why
to
we
have
do
the
that? Yeah, we are. The next question is that only.
Sir, because the trochanter tends to overgrowth, if the trochanter is overgrown, then there will be a problem with the abductor mechanism, sir, subsequently.
Why trochanter will overgrow?
So because of the coxa vara, the gluteus medius pull on the trochanter is high. That's why the trochanteric overgrowth.
Coxa vara will happen. Why the coxa vara will happen in Perthes disease?
Because of the avascularity in the hip regions, there will be overgrowth of the cartilage in the trochanteric epiphysis, sir, which causes the coxa vara.
Actually, the trochanteric overgrowth is a misnomer. It is actually the trochanter would not be overgrowing. Trochanter would be growing as a normal pace. Okay, the answer is not the trochanter is at fault. Fault is at the proximal femoral physis, and proximal femur physis is the growth would be retarded because of AVN. And when there is a mismatch between the proximal femur growth plate and trochanteric growth plate, trochanter is ready to grow and it's going in a normal pace, there is a relative mismatch between proximal femur and the trochanteric. That's why trochanter overgrowth will happen. And whenever trochanter overgrowth happens, trochanteric epiphyseal epiphysis is useless. We need to prevent the trochanteric overgrowth. And second, when we see this, compared to the left side, if you do the varus, the trochanter will go up. Okay, so in not every single case the proximal physis is at fault, but because trochanter will go up, in order to put it down, you need to do about fusion. So trochanteric epiphysiodesis is indicated in most of the cases, almost every single case whenever you do about the varus, in order to prevent the limp. Otherwise, you may have the permanent abductor lurch or the Trenberg sign would be positive. Okay, so please understand trochanteric overgrowth is a misnomer. Trochanter is not at fault. Fault is the proximal femur. Okay, this is a question. How long will you put non-weight bearing? You will keep non-weight bearing, yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
Yeah. How long?
6 weeks.
6 weeks.
4 weeks.
6 weeks.
6 weeks, 4 weeks. By the time osteotomy will unite. Okay, so the issue is that there is a lot of the controversy on that, but the many people, there is no consensus around the world. But we need to know about the fact that traditionally till the disease will be getting completely healed. So it is to be kept for the stage 3B. But again, it is a controversial, so I'm not going in detail, but you must learn that much. why the surgery is required, why the traction is required, what are the types of surgery, what are the stage of disease, and what you are going to do. So what are the questions? Do you have any question? Anything? I can't see the chat. Anything is there in chat? I
Yeah,
don't
there
know.
was one question by someone. Just let me see. 9-year-old child. Let me see that question. I will take that question
Because
and then.
I'm seeing only screens. I'm trying to catch that.
No,
What
no,
is
don't
written
worry.
in-
I will try to find out that there was a question. 9. Yes. If patient is 9-year-old with more than 50% involvement with no extrusion with stage 3, should we do surgery or not? The question is by Manojit Basak, right? Yes, Manojit. So now answer one by one. See, patient is 9 years. So according to the criteria, surgery is indicated or not?
Yes, sir. Indicated, sir.
Indicated. It's the disease is more than 50%. Surgery is indicated or not?
Yes, sir. Indicated, sir.
Okay, coming to the third point, the stage of involvement. If it is more than 2B, don't do surgery, because even after surgery you are not going to get result. So now with that, where do we stand?
Sir, it is like a 50-50 situation, like whether we do or don't do, because according to the we don't do, but according to the age and the epiphysis involvement, we do.
Okay, let me, that's a very good point. So now the 2 points, and the third point, the fourth point which was missing, or the fifth point, is about the rotation, sorry, about the range of motion. Now whenever all the criteria are matching, then only you go for surgery.
Okay, sir.
Right? So all the points. So now in this case, whatever description you have given, the stage 3, that is not matching.
Yes, sir.
So we don't go for surgery. It's not like 3 by 1. All the points should be there. Then only we go for surgery.
Yeah, the logic behind that, you are saying that 50-50 logic behind not doing the surgery is there. The surgery will not have preventive role on that. So you need to think about, if surgery is not going to be harmful, that you need to think. Okay, there are the further detail in that. If stage is, the disease is going to be, the issues will be different. Issues are not the same like before 2A. Okay, that is the reason we say that it is not a very straightforward answer for that, but you need to see that whether the child has got the hinge abduction or not, whether it is getting reduced or not, whether it is reducible or not. Surgery would be indicated in few cases. I'm not telling it is always not indicated, but it is not a straightforward. You will not get the very good outcome in every single case. Okay.
Yes, sir. Sir, another question, sir. Why extrusion doesn't play a role in 7 to 12 years of age group? Like less than 7, it is a very important factor.
It invariably happens in, when we see about the natural history, it invariably happens in the most of the cases. So we will not wait till the extrusion happens. If we wait till extrusion happens, it might be too late. And if we have seen the natural history of disease, it will happen around the stage of fragmentation. So it will be too late. And that is the reason we need to do very early in a stage of disease. Okay, we don't want, if the child comes early, you need to treat them early rather than waiting for a late stage. If you read about the Haring classification and Western textbook, they'll say B by C, C, and you need to get a lot of controversy on that, because it can only apply during a stage of fragmentation. So you need to do it very early.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
So again, to repeat in the other words, if age is more than 7, extrusion is going to occur in most of the patient. That's why we don't wait for the sign of extrusion. If we consider that age is more than 7, straightway we consider that point as in favor of surgery. While in younger patient who are less than 7, it's not that all the patient will go for extrusion. So only those patients go for extrusion, we operate. The rest of the patient, they can be managed without surgery. That's why we are not operating them unnecessarily. That is a reason to be selective, because we don't want to operate all the patient. Hitesh, there was a question 2 or 3 times, why we want to give bilateral traction.
Yeah, so last time also I may explain, I will explain like in stage of first stage of tuberculosis, or in stage of synovitis, or in stage of the hip effusion, what will happen? The hip will accommodate maximum fluid in position of flexion, abduction, and external rotation. That is the position of ease. Okay, and if the child has got already hip effusion and flexion, abduction, external rotation, if you pull that particularly only leg down, the person will develop the abduction deformity. And that is the reason we have kept also the last case, but I think we will not have the time. But in general sense, whenever there is a effusion, always keep the traction on a bilateral. Particularly, the opposite side will work as a well leg traction. So always keep the bilateral above knee traction with keeping the hip and knee flex and the equal weight on both sides. So opposite side or normal side will work as a counter traction.
Then there is another question, like how does VDRO works?
Yes, so that's why I say the VDRO. Last time also I explained, I will explain again what the VDRO. VDRO means varus. DRO means derotation osteotomy. So what is varus? We need to do about cut the bone and keep in adduction. So what will happen? There would be relatively abduction of the proximal fragment. So the anterolateral part would be involved, it will going inside the acetabulum. So it will causing containment. Whenever we'll do about the external rotation of distal fragment, that would be relatively internal rotation of proximal fragment. So whatever the anterior part of the hip would be involved, it will go inside the acetabulum. Okay, and if we are not going to get the internal rotation after a 1 week of traction, we can add a varus extension osteotomy. Extension means proximal fragment will go in flexion, distal fragment go in extension. That's how it works. Varus derotation, varus or varus extension osteotomy. Okay, is it clear or is this some confusion?
See,
Yes,
again,
any other
like,
question?
yeah, let me explain you again. For bringing the disease part in the undercover, we have to abduct and internally rotate. We can do it with plaster, we can do it with varus derotation osteotomy. The same thing we can do it with acetabular osteotomy. The concept is same in all the three. The involved or the disease part is brought under the acetabulum. So that's we call it containment. That can be given by plaster, that can be done by VDRO, or it can be done with acetabular osteotomy. The advantage of VDRO is like it brings it permanently. So we are not dependent on the patient, because plaster treatment is really cumbersome. It's really cumbersome. We can't rely on the patient. So VDRO will do it permanently for 24 hours all the time. It will be in that position only. So that is why we go for VDRO. And there are other advantages also, that it shortens the span of the disease. So the total duration of the disease is also reduced by VDRO. That is another advantage of VDRO.
Yeah, Dhiren bhai has given a very good concept. If somebody is going to ask you any other option, you must think about 3 options. Varus derotation osteotomy, acetabular osteotomy, like a Salter osteotomy, and third is the abduction brace. Perry Shoemaker has mentioned very good result with the abduction braces, and it is actually has to be applied till disease will be healed. So these are the options you have to keep in mind. Don't think only video is one of the option. If somebody is going to say what are the other options, what are the other ways of dealing with that, you must be aware about the other ways of dealing with that. Okay.
Okay, then there is another question by Prabhat. VDRO may lead to more varus deformity. So how to decide the varus degree of correction? That's a very good question.
The important thing is that the optimal varus will require around 14 degree. The Harry Kim has given a very good paper. It's published in British American JBJS in 2014. It is the degree of varus should require only 15 degree. what we do is a 20° of varus. It should not be more than 25 degrees. The optimum is 15 to 25. If you do less than 15, it would be too less. If you do more than 25, it will lead to the more problem. We started, and Dr. Benjamin has started doing since almost 40 years, is fixed 20°, but it is also proven by the literature also. So it is, if you say what degree of varus, say in a safe and 20°. Okay.
Then may lead to varus deformity. So how to decide the varus degree of correction? Safe
Yes,
zone below 15°.
Safe zone, that is not 15°, it's a 20°. Exactly, we can do in a 20°.
So 15 to 20 is a 25 is a range. We go 20, so 2 or 3 degree here and there, but still we will be in the safe zone. How to exclude hinge abduction? Okay, that's another question, that how to exclude hinge abduction.
Yeah, so whenever you see the, last time I have mentioned in the slides also, the center of the femoral head will move from the center to the lateral part of the acetabulum. And if you see, the joint space would be equal in the normal abduction, but it is concentrically widened in case of the hinge abduction. So if you see, in simple way, I can say when superior joint space is less and medial joint space is concentrically widened, it is a hinge abduction. Simple. It's not very complicated. Superior joint space is narrowed because it is hinging at the lateral part of the acetabulum. That is a hinge abduction.
Sir, is it possible to assess by clinically hinged abduction, sir?
Yes, the hinge abduction clinically, the range of motion would be working like a uniplanar. It will not be like a multiplanar. It is associated with the remarkable range of motion restriction. So whenever you will see remarkable range of restriction in the stage of the advanced fragmentation or beyond, think about hinge abduction.
It's a think about, but not, it does not prove. For proving it, you need an X-ray.
Yeah. Think about it.
Sir, yes was raising hand. Yes, you want to ask any question?
Please, no problem. Don't worry, we'll discuss only one case. That is also enough. That is not an issue, but we'll discuss. It's okay. We'll discuss other case later, but you need to be very clear. Perthes is also very common case in your exam. Okay, so
then there is a question: which osteotomy for track abduction deformity, or I think to treat abduction deformity? Which osteotomy for treating the abduction deformity?
Don't do osteotomy for abduction deformity in Perthes disease. So whenever there is abduction deformity is there, you think about the cause. You need to find out the root cause. If an abduction deformity happens due to the faulty traction, always give the traction. Very commonly among all the pathologies in hip, chondrolysis can lead to the abduction deformity. The flexion abduction deformity is very, very common in chondrolysis, where you have to give the bilateral traction and the skeletal traction on opposite side, which is more than the affected side. So it is a well-leg traction again. And again, abduction deformity, find out the reason, whether it's intra-articular, extra-articular, muscular causes, bony causes, then treat it. Don't treat the just abduction deformity. Find out the root value of the cause.
Okay, sorry, Hitesh, he has written the question wrongly. His question was, what osteotomy for hinge abduction? That was his question. He has clarified it.
Okay, it is very simple to have the hinge abduction. Whenever there is hinge abduction, varus osteotomy is contraindicated. Please learn, I will repeat, varus osteotomy is contraindicated. The hinge abduction, you can treat with the valgus osteotomy, you can treat with the self osteotomy, you can treat with the Chiari osteotomy, or you can think about putting only on coverage on the acetabular side, the types of the hinge, the self osteotomy. So these are the various options to treat about the hinge abduction. And not confusing, there are the types reducible hinge or not reducible hinge, but you need to say valgus osteotomy, self and Chiari.
Then there is a question, how does arthrodiastasis help in old case?
Very important thing, whenever range of motion is restricted, possible to have the advanced stage of disease, possible to have the hinge abduction where you can give the traction, you can distract that, so the femoral head will remodel. That is the ideal case to give the arthrodiastasis. When the hinge abduction is present, when the clinical range of motion is restricted, when the stage is beyond the containment, then arthrodiastasis is one of the options. It is one of the salvage options.
Then there is another good question. What is the indication of MRI in Perthes disease?
Yeah, the important aspect of the MRI, people have started doing the MRI since last almost 25-30 years. The MRI, traditional MRI used to give the information about the extrusion. What we can see, the extrusion is a bony extrusion. We can't see about the soft tissue or the cartilaginous extrusion. We don't have the information of the joint. We don't have information of the synovium. We don't have information of the capsule. We don't have the information of the labrum. All the information we can get by the MRI. If you are having a detailed study of that, you can think about MRI. But traditionally at this time, we need to do about the perfusion MRI. In early stage of disease, we can see how much the femoral head is avascular and how much is reperfusion. So we can think about the extent of involvement early. Generally, in a traditional way, we can see about the Cattrall or the Henning classification in stage of fragmentation. But we can't do anything in a stage of the avascular necrosis. If we do about the MRI, perfusion MRI, we can detect very early. That is the role of MRI.
Okay, then there is another I think this question has to be taken and has to be clarified. Why not varus osteotomy in the case of hinge abduction? That's a very important question and we need to understand very clearly.
Okay, I can...
It's a contraindicated, but why?
Yes, I will stop sharing. I will show that one slide, which is... yeah, but by the time I will go for the...
Okay, you find I will explain you before that. I will explain only by words. Actually, this can be explained very well by picture, but unfortunately we don't have ready picture with us, so I will try to explain by the words. See, what is the problem in hinge abduction? In hinge abduction, when you try to abduct the hip joint, the head is not going to go in the abduction, and that is hinging at the edge of the acetabulum. Now, if you carry out a varus osteotomy, in that case, what will happen? Again, the same problem will persist. In spite of doing a varus osteotomy, your aim is to get more abduction, but still you have taken the femoral shaft into adduction. So you are not going to get any benefit out of it. That's why varus knee rotation osteotomy is not indicated in hinge abduction. But please wait, I will prepare an animation for this and I will show you with animation so that it becomes very clear to you that hinge abduction should not be done in case of, varus knee rotation osteotomy should not be done in the case of hinge abduction. I will show you next time with animation.
Yeah, I have the slide, so I will show you the slide. 1 minute, I'll share the screen. Yeah.
And Dhiren sir, there is another question. Bilateral traction above knee or below knee?
Yeah, fine. Usually, in children, we tends to go above knee. The reason is because we want to distribute the surface area, or we want to increase the surface area. That's why we go above knee, so that we have a larger surface, so that the weight is distributed in a larger area. That's why we prefer above knee. Otherwise, there is no reason for that.
Yeah, we can see the slide or no?
Yes.
Yes, sir, we can see that.
Yeah, so there is a difference between normal abduction and hinge abduction. So you can see this is a hinge abduction. When the normal abduction, the joint space is maintained, and throughout any space, any abduction, any movement, it will be maintained. While in hinge abduction, it is hinging at the lateral aspect. So what will happen in normal varus derotation osteotomy? When we do about the varus, the proximal fragment will go in abduction. So the femoral head is very well covered. The varus derotation osteotomy is a preventive osteotomy. It is not the corrective osteotomy. It should do the femoral head go inside indirectly because of the varus derotation osteotomy. If you do the varus derotation osteotomy in hinge abduction, the femoral head is not getting in. Even the trochanter will go high, and you are not going to get the purpose of the getting containment, and that is the reason you should not do. You understand this? If you do the varus derotation osteotomy in the left side of the hip, when the normal abduction, the head is completely covered, right? The contact area of the head is very limited with the acetabulum, then it will be also a stress riser. So you should not do about the varus derotation osteotomy or any osteotomy in case of the hinge abduction. Okay, it's clear?
Okay, then there is another question, but I will show you with the animation so that it becomes very clear. Then there was another question of doing extension. Why we want to add extension to the osteotomy?
Okay, so extension is there when we do about the extension. See, it is a similar row. It is in sagittal plane. When you do about the 15 to 20 degree of extension, proximal fragment will go in a flexion. So basically, we want to have anterior part of the femoral head inside the acetabulum. So if we can get by the internal rotation, we can do about the derotation osteotomy. If we are not going to get the internal rotation by traction, we can do about the extension osteotomy.
Okay, there are a lot of questions about the hinge abduction. I request that please wait till the next time. We will be better able to explain you with pictures so that all the questions related to hinge abduction will be clear to you. Without pictures, we are not able to explain you well, but we will prepare very good pictures so that you understand it very clearly.
Yes,
I think this is the time, like already we have a very good discussion on the Perthes. So I think we stop at this point because otherwise still we have 2 more cases and that's going to take a long time. So let's fix up some other time and then we will have a more interaction on the remaining 2 cases also.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, sure, sir, sure.
So
And,
what we will do in the next session, we will take initial 10-15 minutes on the hinge abduction, and then rest of the time we will spend on the other 2 cases or 2 or 3 cases.
Sure, sir. Sure. And thank you very much, Dhiren sir and Hitesh sir. Sir, today 85 residents attended the lecture. It is the highest number till now in our lecture series since last 1.5 months. 85,
good,
sir.
Good.
So today's lecture was very super hit, sir. And you both, sir, according to your feasibility, send me the date and time, sir. We will plan in next week.
Yeah, sure. Definitely, we will discuss and then let you know soon.
Okay, sure, sir. Sure.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
thank you very much, sir, for your time and effort, sir. Hitesh sir and
Yeah.
Dhiren sir both. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Good
Bye.
night.
Bye.
Good night. Good night.